The Progressive Change Campaign Committee and Democracy for America launched a phone campaign in the districts of 5 Republican state senators asking whether voters would be open to recalling their senators for supporting Walker's bill.
Our Senator Luther Olson and other Republican politicians just gave $117 million to corporations and tax cuts. And now they are asking underpaid teachers and nurses to pay for it. That's just wrong. Republicans are also trying to take away the right of people like me to negotiate for fair pay and benefits. Our Senator, Luther Olson, is one of them. Some voters are talking about recalling him from office and replacing him with someone else. Press 1 if you would be open to recalling him if he keeps this up. Press 2 if you wouldn't be.
These calls come on the same day Republican State Senator Mary Lazick and Republican State Representative Mark Honadell authored a bill that would prohibit prank calls. 9-year-olds beware. The Republican legislators unconvincingly deny any connection between their bill and the recent prank call on Governor Walker, where he admitted that his staff had discussed planting troublemakers into the crowds of protesters. Joining me now, Democratic State Representative Cory Mason and Republican State Senator Glenn Grothman. Thank you both for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Senator Grothman, last night on this show, we had Scott Fitzgerald, your Republican Senate leader. What we did not know then was that he was secretly meeting yesterday or last night with some Democratic senators in Kenosha. What has Senator Fitzgerald told you about that secret meeting with Democratic senators?
Well, we're not giving in on anything. I think he just wanted to get a sense of when they're returning. And I think I would anticipate within the next couple weeks they will be here. We all know, I mean, it's no secret. Go ahead.
You go ahead, Senator. We have a little satellite delay here between Los Angeles and where you are. You go ahead.
Okay. As we all know, there's pressure building in these people's districts to return to work. Unless you're lucky enough to be a Democrat representing the Madison or Dane County area where almost everybody works for the government, the public is overwhelmingly against these people. They're saying, we're paying you $50,000 a year to go to work. Where are you? And we do know there have been recall campaigns launched against at least 2 of these Democratic senators, and I wouldn't want to have to go through a recall. So I would anticipate they'd be returning shortly.
Representative Mason, what have you heard about the secret meeting with the Democratic senators? Which side sought that meeting?
Well, I don't know anything specifically about that meeting, but I can tell you from the state senators that I've spoken to, they felt like they were given no choice but to do this boycott if they were going to protect the rights of the workers and the constituents they represent. And they've said, and we've said in the Assembly, that we're willing to go with all the economic aspects of the governor's repair bill, a lot of things we don't like, but we're really looking for the governor to show a little bit of leadership here and come forward and make a deal that can bring people home.
Senator Grothman, what happened to the governor's deadline today? We seem to have passed through a couple of deadlines. Last Friday was supposed to be a deadline. Today was supposed to be a deadline. Is there any real deadline in front of us?
Oh, yes. I would anticipate layoffs in the very near future.
Representative Mason. Go ahead, Representative Mason.
Yeah,
What's your reaction to the way we've been passing through the governor's deadlines here?
Yeah, I mean, after the day has come and passed, I mean, clearly this was a ruse to try to pressure people to get back here. And it's despicable to watch the governor threaten people's jobs as a political ploy to further a bill that he wants to pass instead of giving people a voice at the workplace and giving those Democrats a seat at the table to negotiate a good peace.
Senator Grothman, your colleague, Republican Senator Dale Schultz, represents a district that voted overwhelmingly for Barack Obama, voted for John Kerry before that. He has been reported as trying to work on some kind of compromise with Democratic senators. Have you had any conversations with Republican Senator Schultz about where he is now on the governor's plan?
Well, I don't think Senator Schultz has decided where he's going to vote yet, but Senator Schultz has never known. It's been fairly well known around the Capitol. We have 18 solid senators prepared to vote for the governor's plan. I like Dale Schultz, but he's not in the mainstream of Republican thought at this time.
Well, let me just say, my hope in all this is that there's going to be some independent-minded Republicans in the Senate that are going to come forward and actually listen to their constituents who are telling them overwhelmingly that they support workers' rights and that those rights should be preserved. They've been in our statutes for more than 50 years. It is really my hope that there's a profile and courage moment for some of these independent-minded Republicans to actually do right by their constituents instead of following this governor off a cliff.
Let's listen to what the governor said. Let's listen to what the governor said today about what will happen if the Democratic senators do not come home.
It's true. We are reducing aid to local governments by just over $1.25 billion. But we're also providing almost $1.5 billion in savings through our budget repair bill. If the 14 Senate Democrats do not come home, their local communities will be forced to manage these reductions in aid without the benefit of the tools provided in the repair bill. On the other hand, if the Senate Democrats do come home, local units of government overall will actually see a net increase in revenue plus savings of more than $150 million.
Representative Mason, if the Democratic senators come home, they will see an increase in funding in their localities. What's your response to the governor's position on that?
Well, my first response is if he calls taking away people's rights a tool one more time, I think there's a lot of people who are going to lose it here. He's been talking about taking away people's rights for the last few weeks here and insulting everyone by calling that giving local government a tool. Look, the workers have said repeatedly they're willing to make concessions, but they need to do it at the bargaining table. So if the governor wants to accomplish the goal that he's laid out in his budget, he needs to do right by these workers who've enjoyed these rights for more than 50 years and let them keep their bargaining rights. It's time for the governor to show a little bit of leadership. He hasn't moved one iota from his position. The Democrats have made tons of concessions. The workers have made tons of concessions, but we're not going to give up on our rights. It's time for the governor to be reasonable.
Senator Grothman, you mentioned a recall movement possibly against a Democratic senator, but you saw that there is this recall telephone campaign that's starting against 5 Republican senators in Wisconsin. We have a Wisconsin poll showing that 57% of Wisconsin thinks that the public worker unions should be able to retain their collective bargaining rights. Isn't the threat of recall, given that poll, something that the Republicans on your side of the aisle have to fear more than Democrats?
Oh, no, absolutely not. First of all, the public is not yet aware. Under Governor Walker's plan, the workers in the state of Wisconsin will have more collective bargaining rights than any federal employee. People are not aware what collective bargaining means. Right now, under Governor Walker's plan,
don't have collective bargaining rights. Of course it's more rights.
That's exactly
You're comparing something
right.
to nothing.
That's exactly right.